Let me introduce you today to Louie, a tough cat who led a tough life and had a tough death. But the last 7 months of his life, he was taken in by the Hurrah family, Sam and Jonathan. He had been in a really bad fight, very beaten up, had clearly been living on the street. He also looked like he had been hit by a car at some point. They cleaned him up and brought him into the family and did everything they could to make him comfortable. What they didn't know is that Louie had leukemia. They didn't find this out until after he passed. And one afternoon, he was not feeling well. They made an appointment at the vet to see him, but unfortunately, he passed only 10 minutes before they could get there. It was a difficult passing, and Sam and Jonathan were with him, calling in his angels for the whole time. Now Louie's sharing why he chose to pass that way, how he feels about his time with Sam and Jonathan Hurrah, and some wonderful messages around how to be resilient in life. It was a really interesting communication session, and I hope you find it as healing as we all did. Let's hear from Louie. Hi, Sam and Jonathan. Well, we have a lot to cover, and Louie is completely fine and very involved, so that was great. I'm going to give you a bunch of overview. I'm going to give you some other experiences. We're going to get into the reading, the communication, what he had to say. He has a lot to say. All really pretty amazing. So the reason that I was a little concerned about doing this so quickly is in 2016, 19, a friend asked me if I would do a shamanic journey at the same time they were putting a dog named Taka down, 16-year-old Siberian, love of their life. Asked me if I would do a journey to facilitate his passing. And so I went into this journey with my power animals. And a power animal is a main guide who I do everything in the other world with. I never do anything without him, and mine is a golden eagle. I have other power animals, which I'll talk about too, because they came up in this journey. And so I get into the journey with Taka, and I'm brought into this complete dark space, and my power animal's like, no, you got no business being here. We're gonna let you watch so that you can see, but they kept me far away, and it was a very dark space. It was like I was in a huge dark room between that life, life and the afterlife, right, or spirit. And my power animal, my guide said, okay, we're going to build you a little fire, and you're going to sit right here. You're not going to move. You're not going to interact or anything. But they did let me watch. And so I saw far off in the distance like a sheet of light, and the dog passing through and met by an angel. And that angel walked with the dog through the darkness, and then they disappeared into the light, into light. So I wonder, I think about that being like the dark hallway with the light at the end, but I was able to watch from a far distance, and it was a ways away. So that's why I knew that I might not be invited at this time. However, this was a very different situation. A lot of what I've learned is from doing. And, we hear people say, well, you need this huge life review and it takes 2 weeks for an animal to be ready. Well, apparently that's not true for all animals. So we're learning something here. So 2 days ago when you emailed me, Sam, I pulled up his picture and I heard, I'm ready, let's do this. And it was like he was stamping his feet. I'm like, right now. And I literally had to picture, I acknowledge you, Louis. We are going to connect. And I really still wasn't sure. I wasn't sure. So we put this off until today. And he's like, are you ready yet? Like, yes, okay. All right. So the first thing I still wanted to do, because I still wasn't very sure, is to do a shamanic journey. And when I do that, before I do any of this, I've cleared the space with sage. I have called in my guides. I have invited the energy of the four directions, above, below, and the center, to come together. I invite them in because we are equals. I can't command the energies of the universe. To come in and join me and bring in all wisdom and guidance and the energy of the center of oneness to come and bring us all together, so that everything that's channeled through me has the wisdom of the entire universe. So, including him. He's still right here. We're still connected. I light a candle to represent the presence of my guides, and then I light a candle to invite in the spirit of Louis. And that represents that. So then I set an intention for the journey. To journey to the other world, to meet a guide of Louis who will instruct me on what communication with Louis is possible and appropriate at this time. Okay? When I first start a shamanic journey, I go into a space where I imagine myself at a specific place, and it's a little mountain lake. And I swim swiftly across. Spirit has shown me that, we cleanse ourselves before we go into public. I cleanse myself in the space before I go into spirit world, but this is also in the spirit world, an additional cleanse before I get there. So I always swim through this little lake. My guides meet me. Not only does Thunderbird he shows up as a golden eagle here, but I also have two other guides that showed up in particular and did this journey with me. One is, I call her Bear Medicine Woman. Her name is Ursula. She shapeshifts between a bear and an older Indian medicine woman and a panther. Panther doesn't show up very often. Both of them came in their animal form. They dress me in a pink dress with pink sort of strappy sandals. When they dress me like that, it has to do with confidence for me, self-love. Once they had me dressed, they said, I heard, what will be, will be. Are you ready for whatever that is? And I said, yes, I am. So I'm being instructed to keep my mind completely open and just watch and just listen, okay? And not try to, you gave me a lot of detail, so not try to fill in the blanks. So then we slowly started walking, and I have Bear, Medicine Woman here, Bear here, Panther here, and Golden Eagles flying above me. So I feel like I'm flanked I am being escorted by my most powerful guides, physically and spiritually powerful guides. So that, puts me on notice that this is a big deal we're doing. So we are all of a sudden, we're in a sandy desert. And I'm like, oh, the sandals, cool. I got sandals on. And I see a huge sphinx in front of us, like a statue, huge, like Egyptian sphinx. And I also sort of see King Tut, and his little body and his hat and the whole thing as a real. I see him as a human. And I'm trying to put this all together. I'm trying to, the wind's blowing some sand, and we're walking very slowly. I have a hand on the back of both of my guides, and they're just sort of slowly escorting me toward all this. And I ask the Sphinx, are you Louis' guide? And I hear no. Actually, the Sphinx I didn't hear anything from, so that's no. And then I ask King Tut, are you Louis' guide? And I hear no from him. And my mind is just
just work and work. And I'm thinking here, Jonathan said something. I tried not to read that too carefully, but Jonathan said something about thinking he was a king. And I hear clear your mind. I hear just clear your mind. And one guide just sort of gently blew in my on my face, and my mind cleared. So I kneeled down in the sand. I see this so clearly, so I'm just walking you through that. I kneeled down in the sand. I'm like, all right, I'm going to focus just on the warm sand. It was like hot. It's snow everywhere. I'm like, oh, it's the desert. It's warm. And I hear, slow down, Christine, slow down. So I'm kneeling in the sand, and I've got my hands, and I'm just looking at the sand. And then I see these 2 white cat paws come into my vision. And I look up, and there's Louis just sitting in front of me. And I didn't get up. I just stayed kneeling in the sand. And we talked. And I felt like I still have my royal escort. Now I realize why I've got the big guns. I've got the panther. I've got bear. I've got eagle. I got my big guns. They're my royal escort, right? Okay, slow down. I gotta slow down. I want you to get the whole feeling of this. And Louis, he speaks very formally. He says, I don't need guides to speak for me. I'm well and whole. I passed over quickly and have a clear knowing of who I am. And he's just so kind of regal. So you were picking up on something, Jonathan. Okay, you're definitely getting it. I said, I'm glad for that. And now, now I'm still trying to remember, but he said, I was never a king, but I have served in the court of kings. I served in the court of Hurrah as well, he tells me. I was like, oh. And I'm just trying to listen. He said, I fought to get to that court. It is never easy getting near a king. I also only serve trustworthy and loyal courts, he says. So he's schooling me. Sam and Jonathan showed their love and proved their loyalty right up to the very end, he says. It was my honor to serve in the court of Hurrah. One does not leave a court life by false measures. And he means he saw it through to the end. I struggled with the false measures, and I tried to get him to say a different word, but that's what he wanted to say, false measures. He felt that if you went to the vet, that would be cheating. Yeah. He said, I thank them for seeing me through that time. Yeah, he chose to go before you could get to the vet. He knew it was happening. He felt it was very important to let this happen in a natural way, even though it was so hard for you. I said, do you have any special message for Sam and Jonathan? And he says, Jonathan, guard your court well. Beware of false friends who would weaken it. And he's very direct. I mean, this came right out. Sam, do not be afraid to love people as fiercely as you love animals. Open your heart wider. Hearts will open wider to you. And so as I stepped back from him, I asked him about his benevolence. He's an animal. He's not an angel, and he has free will in spirit and in life. He said, I'm loyal to those who see me for what I am and ask for no change. I offer love, service, serves in your court. He serves with love to those who are trustworthy. The court of Hurrah was just so, he says. So there's this really powerful, deep, wise energy around him that he doesn't suffer any fools. He's not going to offer it to those who are not trustworthy and loyal. And he waits for that to be proven. So I thanked him for coming to me with this, and I thanked him for this information and sharing these things about himself. And I asked him if we could speak mind to mind, heart to heart after the journey was over, and he said that would be acceptable. I said, Sam and Jonathan have many questions, and he says, and I have many answers. So I thanked Louis for speaking with me in spirit in the journey, and I thanked my guides, and we retired from his court. So there's more about this. So then I went to the card, and I remember, what is the archetypal energy Louis embodies right now? And then I looked at it, and it was the ring. The infinite, the wheel, the connection. The ring is an image of connectedness. Rather than viewing life as linear, as a series of progressive achievements, the ring challenges us to sense the cyclical, infinite nature of our world and experiences. Louis is showing how cyclical this is. You know, his experiences in life and other world is. Beginnings and endings fall by the wayside as we practice seeing ourselves as part of the cosmic circularity of creation. For this reason, it is no surprise a ring is worn on the finger to represent eternal love that surpasses space, time, and worldly things. He is eternal, continuing on. His spirit has a mission. His soul has a mission, and he was living in this life according to that, which I thought was pretty amazing. So that does for me confirm the energy around how he is right now. He's going through the cycle, evolving into the next thing, learning the next thing, finding the next court. And as I'm reading this card and getting my intuition around it, and he's right there in front of me. He's like, "Are you ready to talk? Are you ready yet?" I'm like, "Okay, yes, I'm ready. I'm ready." I said, "Okay, Jonathan and Sam would like to know what more they could have done for you in those last days." And he's like, "Nothing." He said, "I felt fully supported." And so from what you described to me, that's how my dog died. Systems shut down, kidneys fail, toxicity builds up, and once that happens, it happens pretty quick. And there's so much restlessness in the end. It's so upsetting. And I said, were you in pain the day you were passing? And he's like, "I did feel pain, and I feel like it was in here. I don't know." He said, "But I knew what was happening, and I was prepared to weather the short storm that allowed me to pass." At the end, he said, there was no pain. It was not, he said, "I was not fully in my body at the end." He said, "Like you," and he's talking to you, "I watched from outside until the last tether was released, and I was free to go. I chose the time. I would not have wanted to pass another way. Warriors face their ends with dignity," he says. And I said, "Louis, are you a warrior?" He said, "We are all warriors in life. We fight for love, truth, compassion, and peace." Oops. Ran out of pages. He said, "That's why I chose to serve in the court of Hurrah. It's a peaceful kingdom." And I said, "So are you still with Sam and Jonathan now, Louis?" And he said, "I will return soon. I'm in my home court for a time to rest." So he's with King Tut and the Sphinx and the all things Egyptian, the desert, or where it's warm. I felt it was very safe there, and he was very, connected to that type of place. I said, Louis, how will they know when you are near again. And he said, they might hear my voice, might hear him meowing when he's not there, but he'd be there. He said, watch the dogs. They're part of the court and will sense me. And he shows me this brown and white spotted dog. I feel like you have a brown and white spotted dog, but I don't know who it is. I don't remember. That one in particular. Is it a female? I think it's a female, that one in particular, he says. And then I have all this time, I've been trying to ask him, would you show me what happened in your life before time with Sam and Jonathan? We know it was difficult. And he's like, it was rough. He's not showing me. He's not showing me. What he does say, he's he is so king-like, isn't he? He does say, I tried to serve another court and it didn't go well. He said, free will and all, you know? Everybody's got free will, he says. He just, it didn't go well, and I let it go. And I moved on, and that came to you. And I said, okay, Louis, what was your purpose in your life, in this life you shared for a short time with Sam and Jonathan? He's like, to teach resilience. I just heard that loud and clear, to teach resilience. And I said, all right, angels and guides of Louis, can you give me an energy card to confirm that purpose? And the energy is go with the flow. Go with the flow. Resilience is the energy of flow. Helps you to understand that to trust in spirit means you are given what you need for your journey. You are provided with a simple boat to sail down life's meandering ways. You do not need unnecessary burdens or luxuries. You will be given what you need at any one time so that you can travel light, unhindered by heavy pressure or possessions. Archangel Metatron will steer you where you need to be, flowing in your own way and power toward your next destination. Go with the flow. Everything is provided. Resilience is always, when I think of resilience, I think of knowing that the hard thing isn't the end, isn't going to end it all. It's we bounce back, we move on, we are supported, we will always have what we need if we just expect it. So that, go with the flow, be resilient. He was a very resilient cat, wasn't he? He's a tough cookie. I think you said that, he was pretty tough. I love the picture, not the one that's in the video, but the one of him sitting upright, because he looks like, I could tell he was just bathed. He looks like royally unimpressed. Like, really, you had to do that? Really? Mm-hmm. But I thought it'd be better to have this picture with it for your memory video. But yeah, a resilient cat, showing you how to be resilient. So I thanked him. I thanked Louis for being here and available and willing. And he's like, of course I was willing. I signed up for all of this, he said. These are my people. These are my people, my court. So I asked all the angels and guides that are here to give us all one last card of advice. So what advice does Louis around his life have for you going forward in your lives? And it was authentic self. He was his authentic self. He didn't try to be different than he was make someone else happy. He was Louis. And he encourages you to do the same. Live your truth. Live your truth. Gosh, that's the best advice any being can give any other being. Mm-hmm. Think with your heart. Feel with your gut. Know with your gut. Think with your heart. And try to keep this a little quieter. That's what I try to do. All right. Love to you both. Thank you so much. Take care of yourselves. Take care of yourselves. And I look forward to the time when you can sense Louis around you again. And thank you for caring for him so deeply. He really honors you for it. Okay. Bye.